If a Scientologist were to leave one area to get services in another area at lower costs, let's say due to money exchange rates, do they receive any kind of talking to, retribution, pressure, or the like for that? If so, will Regs or other people try and recoup or sell them more services because they may have saved money? Could this calculated monetary saving measure be viewed not only negatively, but result in any ethics actions? This is such an interesting question because when I was overseeing all of the delivery of Scientology in the Western United States, this happened. This exact situation you're asking about came up a few times. And the way it came up was we found out that there were pre-clears, people out in Kansas and different places around the world or around the West U.S., who were going to Latin America, were going down to Mexico to get auditing because the rates for auditing in Mexico were so much cheaper. I mean, they were significantly cheaper. You would literally save, like by buying a ticket, getting a passport, doing all that, flying to Mexico, get 3, 4, 5 intensives, right, blocks of auditing, get it delivered, and then go home and stay at a hotel, pay your way, all that. That was cheaper than paying at your local organization for even 2 or 3 intensives. Like you were getting significantly more auditing for significantly less money. And this is because the pricing scales for auditing services are calculated according to a particular formula that Hubbard put together. And I never actually saw the exact formula itself, but it had something to do with the average cost of living in an area, and then you multiply that, like what would be the monthly income for an average person in this area. And then you take that and multiply it by like 2.5 or something, and that's how you come up with the price of an intensive. Or, I mean, somebody else can comment on this who might know the exact formula or if they've seen or heard that somewhere. But there is a formula to it, and it's based on local costs for standard of living. So you go to, and it's country by country, not region by region. You can't go to Georgia and get lower rates than you can in Seattle. It doesn't quite work that way. All of America is pretty much on the same pay system or the same donation system. But Latin America, whole different system, right? Europe, whole different system. Australia, their own system. So comparing the exchange rates, you might really make out. And so when I first heard about this as a manager of auditing delivery in the Western United States, I was outraged. I was like, what? These people are cheating the system. This is not acceptable. And I wasn't even in it for the money. I didn't even care that much. But what I did care about were those well-done auditing hours that I was not going to have on my statistic because these people were flying to another continent to get their auditing somewhere else. And those hours that they were getting the auditing was going to count on somebody else's statistic, my opposite number for Latin America. So I wasn't down with that at all, right? I was like, hey, this is not okay. Can people do this? Well, turned out there wasn't any policy anywhere that said they couldn't. There was no issue. There was no local issue. There was nothing. There was no issued policy. So I had to just deal with it. And fortunately, it was just a few people. It wasn't like this caught on or became a thing, but it was something that the guys down in Mexico City were sure promoting for a while. But anyway, the whole thing was a little silly. I was really pissed when that happened. Now, so that being all said now, no, those public would not get any sort of anything as far as ethics actions or justice or KRs written on them, nothing like that. Nothing like that would happen with them because they weren't violating any policy on which to write a knowledge report. Also, not that that's always necessary to write a knowledge report, but, in this particular case, it really was. There was nothing that they were doing wrong. As far as how the Regs down in Mexico City or wherever they were going would treat them or try to get them to upsell, I don't know, probably. If I was a Reg, I would have been all over those guys. So I can't imagine that they weren't being talked to by the salespeople down there while they were there. And maybe that was even part of the pitch was, well, you're saving all this money, so why not, use it to get up your status in the IAS or buy these materials or whatever, right? that would just be straight Scientology anyway. So there you go.